So, so what's up? I wanted to make this video to all the people who in the black manosphere or anything to watch how of being used. See, I made my list, but I didn't make my other list because that's private. So I'm making my public list from last night, and I put down all the things that I think what red pill means overall, and you can actually like think if it's if you want to look at the list and you want to adopt it or whatever. There's a lot of people in this so-called red pill space that act like they red pill or MGTOW in order to use other men and exploit other men for money and worship. They want to overlord. These men want to overlord men they think they can take advantage of or use for views and for some type of ruling over. They can be on the soapbox on YouTube and running around here telling them how good they are with women. And I want to show you what real red pill really means. So let me go down the list. 1. Know the mentality of the men who get women and know how they act. This gives you a clarity on certain men who get women and they act arrogant or they put other men down. Red pill men overall can spot guys who claim they red pill or they just get in their way in life. These guys are the ones who on YouTube saying how you need to self-improve. And I'm speaking about a guy who made a bunch of videos of him traveling and saying, this is why you go to the gym, so you can wear your shirt out and so you can show your abs off and show your chest off. But in the previous videos, he said working out wasn't for the women, it was for themselves and for men in themselves. Then he tried to dissect certain men that he thought had mental problems and didn't want to do the work. So he contradicted himself in his recent videos. Then he says, well, I don't have hands right now, so somebody would have, I'm still sharp. But there's guys out here that I know who got golden gloves and their boxing golden gloves, and they're not that built, but they've been boxing their whole life, so they don't need to be in the gym all the time. And if they go to the gym, they'd be 10 times better fighters. But this is a guy that people follow rapidly because he's getting what he wants, and no woman is going to actually reject what he says because he's putting down other men. So you have to notice that when guys getting what they want from women and they getting women all they want, they become arrogant and they think that their poop don't stink. They think they're the best thing in the world. Overall, you got to notice this and know that they're not red pill. They're just a bunch of guys, arrogant guys, circle jerking each other and playing around with dysfunctional women and being in a small pool. And they only a little group of guys who fit an archetype for women, and they think they're masters. They think they can master over a bunch of guys, overlord a bunch of guys who don't fit that description, and pipe dream a lot of guys. So number 2, know the true nature of women. A lot of people talk about men don't know the nature of women. All the while have women in their chats. Have women in their chats talking about men. But overall, these guys are blocking guys off their channels who say certain things about women, but then turn around and don't do the same for the women. So you see how biased it is. And I'm talking about the same guy. I seen a bunch of females in his chat room when he did a live saying some really messed up things about men. He didn't block them. He let them slide. But then when a guy said something about dark-skinned females, he blocked them off the channel and said, well, we don't do that over here. Bias shit. The real nature of women is the ability for them to become chameleons. At first, they're making fun of men and talking about a certain group of men. But then when they don't get the attention from the men they want, they go try to sneak their way into an organization or a sector where they can seem like they're, like they could seem like they're part, and they speak for the certain group of men, and they empathize for the men, but they're just using an advantage so they can feel like they're queens of MGTOW, or they queens of men who don't get a lot of women, and they get that attention, and they also put the cream on top of the pie, where they say, well, donate to me, Patreon, so you can hear them say the same things that men been saying all this long time. A woman's nature, they say, it never changes, and it does change depending on her situation. And these guys want to always talk about female nature because they're getting their way. But these are the same guys who are never going to talk about the other side of female nature, where you can't believe when women say, you can't take them seriously, and you always have to check them for them to actually respect other men. That's their nature. If you check them, and then other women will tell them, okay, don't say that on that person's platform, then they will know not to say certain things on a certain person's platform. Also, in a woman's nature, they're natural followers. They will follow what other women are doing, from clothes, shoes, to even dating them. That's their real nature. Their nature is that they always try to find an advantage over a man. They never have and never will have empathy for men. That's their true nature, and this is the nature that these guys are not telling you about, is that they will find an angle just to use you and abuse you, and then say it's your fault. And if it doesn't work out, try to blame everybody else but themselves. And they are devoid of responsibility. So to know their nature, that ain't just sexual, it's a lot of other things outside of it. They're not responsible with money, they're not responsible with lifestyles, they're not responsible with anything. They're children. But these are the guys who tell you about female nature, and they put their value when it comes down to sex, but then they want to use that as a weapon, and I'm going to get to that soon. So, number 4, red pill means you're looking at the world and understand. It means you understand everything. You understand the whole system that's built against certain people. You know how to get your advantage from people who try to get advantage over you, and you have an understanding of everything and anything, so you don't fall into the pitfalls of what anyone says, man or woman. You understand it. Number 5, okay? Number 3, my fault, sir. You have to know which man is being used, or which man is a proxy for women. Because there's a lot of guys who say that they're red pill and they're this and they're that, and overall, they're not. They're just doing that for views because red pills. Red pill is a popular term for a lot of people now. Incels a popular term for people to talk about people. MGTOW is that. There's so many people right now are trying to, market in on MGTOW and red pill spaces. It's a joke now, and it's diluted. Everybody want to walk around saying they're red pill. Everybody want to walk around saying they're MGTOW, but they're not. And overall, you have to know which of these guys are out here spearing shit and lying just to get viewers, because eventually they're gonna turn on you. They're gonna turn on you, and when they do turn on you, it's gonna be bad, real bad. Yeah, number 2, number 4 is what I said previously, but it's also, you have to understand the world. You have to look at the world and understand the world, but also understand where you at. You got to understand how people view you, so you can know how to maneuver in life. So you don't have to be able, you won't ever be used by anyone at all. So let's see. Number 5, never underestimate men. See, in the red pill spaces, we got a lot of people in here who underestimate certain men, who think that just because they didn't get validation from women, they're useless and they're invisible. But then eventually you see these guys flourish in certain industries, and now they're trying to knock on the door in the same industries, and the guys who they talked about previously are telling them no. Because once you underestimate people, you already lose. I don't care if you're winning for 10 years. That person you made fun of 10 years ago overall was playing a long game, while you was playing you was cutting everything short and fast. And then eventually your lifestyle gave out, you fell, and you look up, and the guys that you once talked about, they don't have all the scars that you have. They don't have all the little complaints you have. And then now you're walking to these men asking them for support. Or you're trying to act like that you learned your lesson, you were young, and you were this and you were that. Once you underestimate other men, you start losing all these battles. You start burning a lot of bridges. And you lose a lot of allies. To me, underestimating a man, no matter if he can't get women, no matter if he talks whatever, even if he is hateful, you can't underestimate that person, because that person can come up and be better than you. And then eventually they will find a way to defeat you in other means that you think you're good at. Okay. Number 6, you know when to walk away from things without giving up who you are. Pretty much is, if you see yourself turning into something that you're not, and people say, well, get out your comfort zone and this and this and that. If you see that you're working out and your body is aching all the time, and you're not gaining no muscle even after 2 years, and you taking everybody's advice on working out, then you find out in the hospital, you find out from a doctor that your body is different, and you develop muscles. It's harder for you to develop muscles, and it takes years and years and years. but these guys are telling you to work out and get big. And you have to do all these doses and all this stuff and all this synthetic stuff to get your body into a good shape, then I advise you to give the hell up instead of hurting yourself. Build what you can build in your own pace and leave it alone. Don't never turn into something that other people want you to be, because you're going to end up losing what you worked for in your whole life, or losing who you really are. It's better to just give the hell up and pursue something else. You know, they know when to give up, not so they don't become something that they're not. Number 7, know who might use you. And this is the ability to look around you, listen to the people, and see who's trying to use you for what. This is for women, this is men. This is men for friendship, and if you got money or whatever, or if you just a guy that people can hang out with when they don't have friends around them, you can know that. And you can know how certain people act when they get a whole bunch of friends, and when they get a bunch of friends, and then they try to, act like they don't see your phone calls, or if you see a female friend who only use you for conversations, and when she get around other people, she act like she doesn't know you. Or if you're online with these people, she acts like she doesn't know you, or blocks you online, or whatever. More than enough instances where if you're red pill, you know who's trying to use you, because you have precautionary measures for everything. Never take what a woman, number 8, never take what a woman have to say seriously. It means that when women say certain things that they don't mean, overall, you don't take them seriously. You pretty much just walk off. And okay. Well, yeah, you see what they are about. You see what they say, and you see how they act, and you see who they do. You see what they do, and see how they treat other people. So you shouldn't never ever take them seriously on certain things at all, because they're just saying stuff just to say stuff. And they want to say stuff in order to feel like they're important. So you see them that they're going to just randomly say stuff in order for them to feel important, or for them to feel good at that moment. And then eventually they sorry, I'm looking at something real quick. Okay, there we go. So pretty much is them just spilling out crap, and you need to watch out for it. You need to look at what they saying, and in order to be red pill means you have to understand that you can't take none of them seriously, and you have to give them a longevity vetting system before you even believe what they say. One of my longevity systems that I put up for women to see if they're really serious about who they really are is that I wait 2 years. I wait 2 years to see if they really who they say they are. And if they are, and they don't contradict themselves, if I don't see them say anything in the chat, or if I don't see them say nothing on a YouTube video, and if they don't have a mental breakdown and you don't start seeing them say stuff or nobody catches them or whatever, then after the second year, I take them seriously, because I see them that they're consistent, they're believable, and they're people that I can literally not take advantage, but take in consideration to support. So, number 9, never believe in a man who can't tell you his losses. So this is red pill knowledge right here. When it comes down to it, you never believe a man is always winning. If he can't tell you none of his faults or his flaws, what he's doing right now, if he can't tell you his loss, and he said he's red pill, then you shouldn't follow him. You shouldn't subscribe to him. You shouldn't listen to his videos, because overall, a guy who's red pill because know how to handle criticism and also know how to handle ridicule, because eventually, if you're not living in those inside your head all the time, and the people they're talking about, they will literally tell the world that they lost and say, well, I'm gonna take this L and I'm gonna walk off. Some of these guys are not telling you the 100%. They're telling you what they want to hear. They're telling you all the good stuff, but they don't never tell you the things that they had to do to get to the good stuff, right? They never tell you about how many hours they had to listen to a chick and they didn't get what they wanted. How they were used by a woman at the time. They will always tell you the good stuff, and you don't need to listen to any of these dudes, because they're not never going to tell you anything. They're going to tell you pure fiction, and they're never going to tell you anything that based in reality. Number 10, never listen to a man who can't beat other men at their own game. Right? Pretty much just saying that if you're a red pill man, you always a little bit up to beating a guy at their own game. It means that if you say that if someone says you can't get women, you have fun. You have fun not proving yourself to him, but you have fun pretty much saying, well, I can. Overall, you're not going to be used because you're doing this because it's like, this is fun, this is enjoyment. And they will be surprised and be like, oh shit, damn, I didn't know you can do that. No, I told you the truth. I can get them, but I just don't want to. Or when it comes down to it, with these so-called red pill men, they can't beat certain people at their own games. Like, it's another YouTuber who he won't check data out, and it's another YouTuber who told them straight out, like, yo, you need to check the data, you need to read books, and he doesn't want to do it because he thinks that he below. Reading books and reading statistical data is below him, and he thinks he's always right. So for me, at that moment, when you can't beat somebody at their own game, or you can't create a rivalry between you and another man, you scared of the rivalry of what that man's gonna make you look like. I'm up for the challenge. A man, they talking about, and some of these guys are talking about red pill nature and whatever, talking about, yeah, man, we go after these women and blah blah blah, and it's in men's nature to go hunting, but it's also in men's nature to find a rival. If two guys are doing good at a high level, overall they're going to find somebody that's in the same category that they're going to have to beat eventually. And sometimes if they can't beat that person, they're going to keep trying. Real animal instincts. If you're fighting over something that you want to prove yourself to not just the person, but to yourself, you're going to go fight this person. Rams hit each other over and over in the head just to know which one is tougher. And then one gives up. If you can't find a guy who said a red pill who can beat somebody at their own game, that person is weak and they're going after the lowest denominator of men to get them to follow. So if I say that I know 5 languages, I'm expecting you to at least learn one to prove me wrong that you ain't limited in your culture, your knowledge of people culture. Because if you tell me you can get women and white and Asian and stuff like that, then I say, okay, learn this language and go to this country and I'll meet you over there. Or let's see if you can speak so much language to them and know their culture. And if that person says, no, I'm not going to do that, that's corny, that's boring, I don't want to do that, you won overall. Because they don't want to get out of their comfort zone. So everything they're saying is bullshit. Red pill means that you can't take a guy seriously if he can't beat you at your own game, even with the basics. If someone says I can't play chess and you teach him chess and y'all going back and forth on a chessboard and he ends up beating you one time, guess what? I have more respect for him than I had before, because guess what? He beat me at my own game. And even if he didn't beat me, at least he tried to show me that this guy, what he says, he lives it. Number 11. Look at how much a man insults other men. So if you see in videos where the so-called red pill men is belittling other men because certain things, but they never belittle the women, or they never say anything about the women, but they always taking shots at the lower tier men, or always saying how certain men and this, certain men that, and making fun of guys' lifestyle and talking about guys that are not saying anything about them, then overall, you know these men are not red pill. They're just somebody who's a PUA and they're posing to be MGTOW or posing to be red pill, because red pill men don't go around insulting other men for who they are. They let them be who they are. Even if you know somebody's a simp, you comment and you just said you move on. You be like, okay, the guy's a simp. I'm not gonna be around that guy no more. They look at him and say, I'm not gonna stay around this guy. You know, guys like Brian Solange or Kid Organic said it themselves that they're not gonna be part of the black manosphere because they see a lot of men who said certain things. They said what they said. They called certain people out. They didn't assault them like that. They called them out, and then they left it alone and they walked away. That's what you truly do. You don't make videos after videos after videos after videos after videos calling people incels and calling people this and this and that when it's no necessary to just keep doing that. If you're winning, circle jerk each other around for all the guys who are winning and leave the guys who are losing alone, because you're not going to recruit any more men. But it shows them that they trying to exploit you. So, number 12, question everything and get answers. Pretty much, you always question the people. You always question anything and everything so you can and see if you get an answer. If you never get an answer, you know it's fake. Everybody should know. Everybody who's giving out advice should always give you an answer to something when you're asking a question. If they can't give you answers to none of your questions, or no one can give you answers, something fishy about these people. In the red pill spaces, when somebody questions you and you can't give them a full answer of anything, and you're deflecting and you're saying certain things, you give away your position on who you really are. And this is the ability to look at people and say, hey, that guy's not red pill. And you start asking people questions and they're blocking you off their channel, or they blocking you off certain things. Then you look and say, wow, this is insane. You're not really red pill. And if they can't answer none of the questions, or they give you a generic answer that everybody else gives you, you know that they're using red pill tags in order to milk the red pill men and weed out the fakes for you to look at, and just to make themselves seem like they're more superior red pill men than they are in the red pill spaces, when red pill men can nudge at each other and say, okay, we both red pill. They don't try to have a hierarchy in the red pill spaces, but these guys making a hierarchy, and it shows that they're not really red pill. When you question these guys and ask them certain questions, they can't answer. So you know they're here just to feel superior in a new space, to try to dominate certain people in that space, because their last space, they wasn't dominating in it. So number 13 is know how women act after their prime. This is pretty much prevalent to seeing how women act and how they pretend when they're past their prime. When they're past a certain look, see how they talk, look how they view, do a case study for yourself, and then give yourself, write down certain things about what certain women do when they're past their prime and they don't have no options, what they sound like, how they talk like. And eventually you'll understand that these people are overall trying to use you for whatever, money, views, some kind of worship. They're trying to overlord you and pretty much make you be the person that they always go to you for money and views when it comes down to this. And they're trying to put themselves on a higher pedestal than they are because they passed their prime, and they're trying to feel like how they was before. They try to capture that with people. They try to capture their youth back with people that they would never talk to if they did have if there was in their prime. So when you red pill, you have to understand how they act and what they do when they're past their prime. And the last but not least thing is don't use sex to put down other men. Pretty much, this is the catalyst to a lot of people. When you a red pill man, you're not gonna use sex to try to downgrade another red pill man, because as we said, it's a different level. It's not different levels. We all red pill in this space. When you walk around here trying to hierarchy guys in red pill spaces and say, well, you don't know about red pill because this red pill is this, then overall you're not red pill, you're something else. And if you overall try to use validation of sex and sex with women as a way to put down other men, then this means that you're not red pill overall. And you're just using this space to get followers and weak men to follow you behind you. Because when you use sex as a way to put down other men, it makes a hierarchy, automatic hierarchy to the people who can get it, and it puts the people who can't get it under them. But when it comes to red pill, as long as you don't have knowledge about everything, women, the world, then we all on the same level, and we all respect each other and say, okay, you might not look that certain way, you might not act a certain way, but guess what, man, you still red pill, and I respect that. And you walk off. You don't look at the person and say, yo, you look like this and look like that, I'm more red pill than you are. And then you start looking at it like, wow, why you must not be red pill because you're not speaking like a red pill man. So let me get to the next section. A lot of people try to put this self-improvement bullshit out here to make certain guys feel like they're not putting work in and everything else. And there's certain things that men can't change that will hurt them overall, and if they can change it, it will change their life, and they don't have safety nets like women do. These are the things that most men can't change at all. And if they can change it, it's not foolproof. Now, their height. There isn't any surgeries for a man to get taller. If there was, then there would be a whole bunch of tall men. You can wear shoes to make yourself look taller, but eventually you'll be found out. Overall, you can't change your height. Now, most men can't change their penis size. You know why they can't? Because overall, people might say, well, you can go to pills. If pills was prevalent enough, then everybody on earth that have a small penis would get the pills. The market for growth pills would boom, and they would be rich and accessible to everybody. If the surgeries worked, then Asian men and other men who are small would all get the surgeries, because we all know that a lot of these Asian men are more loaded than black men. So if the so-called surgery was prevalent, then every man out here who was missing that part of themselves would get a surgery. You know why there's not a large number of men hacking themselves? 22, 24, 49. You know, there's not why a large number of men who are hacking themselves and mutilating themselves for women's enjoyment, because men don't think that way. Men think about the consequences of their actions. They're not like women. They don't get boob jobs or lip injections or fake ass or any kind of surgery on their bodies for them to improve their looks, because they know overall that if something goes wrong later on in life, they're gonna have to pay for that consequences. So it's not a whole bunch of men are going around doing that. So that's something that a lot of men can't change. Number 3, body limits. There are certain guys that were born with certain muscular problems where they can't go to the gym, or they have heart problems, or they have to stick themselves with certain injections in order to build some muscle, and eventually overall they can't overdose themselves. But these guys don't want to tell you this because they think that it's so easy to go to the gym. For black men, they think all black men could go to the gym and get big and built. Overall, it takes about a year or two to build solid muscle, to build like 50 pounds of muscles. It might have changed. The last time I checked, it took 2 years to get put on 50 pounds of muscles. Even if you're out here working your ass off, it's still going to take you a long time to build that muscle. They don't tell you the other side of it. I made a video about this, but the fact is, most pro bodybuilders don't stay super ripped all year round. They have an off season. Most guys in the NFL is not playing football or basketball all year round. So when they say that, well, self-improvement, body improvement is for yourself, they're lying to you, because the fact is, they're not intensely working out over and over and over and over and over and over, because eventually their body's going to break apart. So they're putting small percentage of work in and then saying they're working out, because some of these guys, going back to the limits, is that when they build so much muscle, they have no stamina, they'd have no oxygen intake where they can run long distances. They're so big they can't run long distances. Even if you can run short distance in like a 4, you can run in a couple seconds. You can't keep that up for long. You can't run 7 or 8 blocks without getting gassed out. You can't run a mile without getting gassed out. Some of these guys will be exposed if they haven't tried to run a marathon. These guys think they're in shape, but they're not in shape. They're just building muscle. And everybody knows that overall you can't do that all year. And if you can do that all year, you must be taking something. You must be taking some extra stuff, and a lot of guys on the black YouTube are not telling you the truth. They're taking different substances for perform enhancing drugs. Let me put it like that. They're doing perform enhancing drugs to get the big where they at. You ask them when they start working out, and if they say 2 years or 3 years or whatever, then they're using some kind of perform enhancer. They are. Just like everybody knows that Rock is using performance enhancers. Everybody knows that half of the movie stars are using performance enhancers for them to get that big that fast. But they don't want to tell that to the guys who are natural, because they want to proclaim that they're natural. Just like, women say that they got the big behinds and stuff. But overall, why is it so many of them going to get their ass done so they can get it? And then some of them look like cartoon characters. Limited mentality. Some people can't change their mentality. If you've been doing something for more than 3 years, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be super hard for you to change that mentality around. And it's going to physically hurt you mentally more than physically to change your mentality. And it's more prevalent to the guys who try to give self-improvement things. These guys are not going to compete in bodybuilding contests. See, ask these guys overall and say, hey, if your body's so right, why don't you compete? Why don't you compete in bodybuilding contests? Why don't you go to your local place where, why don't you go to the local places where you can compete like I did with, what is it called? Powerlifting contests. Why don't you do that? Since you overall say that you're big and this and this and that. And they said, no, I'm not like that. I'm just doing it for working out. That shows a limited mentality that you shouldn't take advice from these people, because overall, these guys are limited in their mentality. They don't think they can compete, but they want to turn around and say they can compete, that you're not competing. Also, they don't want to learn other languages. They don't want to learn other cultures. They don't want to go deep down inside of what they say they think they know about all women. They might sit back and think, hey man, I know about women, but guess what? Why don't you go into Asian cultures? Why don't you try to go into other Asian cultures and see if you really know? Learn the language. Adapt yourself in a culture, so you can come back with more knowledge. But they don't want to do that, because if they do that, it will show just how limited they are with one group of women, and how limited they are in their mental condition. So that's the 4 things that I put down that some men can't change. Some things men can't change. And if they can change it, it will be very, very difficult for them to change it. Okay, I'm going to talk about this whole thing right now. There's the situations that I had last night on. This is my whole red pill, knowledge thing that I'm talking about. I was on Reg the Bad Guy's channel, and I said a couple things about black women and everything that I had to say. So I was kind of getting into a conversation with some of the people in the chat, and they were saying certain things, and it seemed like, everything was going good, but then here come Rainy Woman. This is the second run-in I had with her on Reg the Bad Guy's channel, and she goes time me out because she said I throw my hands. She said I throw rocks and hide my hand, and everybody can see my comments in that video, but that video was hacked. So she can't really how can I say this? She she can't back herself out of this whole situation right now. This is the second time she came at me, and I ain't saying nothing to her. And this is the woman that everybody seemed to like try to like say that she's different, and she is not using the red pill. She not using the black manosphere, which I know she is, because you know how I know she using the red pill. She using the red pill men, well, the fake red pill men in the black manosphere, is because she's on everybody's pages except certain guys. I don't never see her on Brian Solange's page. I could barely see her on Kid Organic's page. These are two guys out here who don't believe certain women at all. You don't ever see her on these pages, but she on the pages that she can take advantage of. She's on everybody else's page. She co-signs Nicole Michelle's her rhetoric. She co-signs Kendra D, as I'm about to show you. So she support women who's gonna use and talk about black men overall, but for some reason she comes at me telling me that I timed Christopher Owens out. He was making comments to bash black women and trigger black men, and a guy who said he's red pill, and I was on Reg the bad guy's side at one point when him and Obsidian was going at it with each other. And I donated on Patreon, and I gave some funds to his GoFundMe. And that was dumb of me because I was like, that was one of my darkness, because I was kind of bored with when Game of Thrones ended and everything else. I kind of was like, yeah, let me go on YouTube and see that's going to be my entertainment or whatever. And I seen the things that would happen with Reg and old Obsidian. And I felt bad for Reg. I'm like, yo, let me support this guys. Because Super Sly, came over and said a lot of things. And he was kind of motivational. So I was in a moment. I was like, okay, man, I'm cool with Super Sly's message to Reg. So let me support him. Well, that's over. Now this is why a lot of guys don't this is one of the reasons why a lot of guys don't support, don't donate, and don't really want to be around other black people, because if a woman says something out her mouth, he didn't question it. He just lost a Patreon, and he just lost a person who was gonna donate to his so-called, fund. I have no ill will with him, but this guy made the second mistake. He did the same thing with Bomb Cherry and the chick Daniti, and then you had Gab on there talking about they're good people, but then a couple minutes later they hacked Reg's page, but Reg let them on in the first place. So to me, Reg is on that list of guys who ain't red pill, because he didn't check her. He's not seeing through what she does. She's playing both sides, because she would jump on every single guy's panels and walk around just for views. And I'm gonna show you evidence about her using the black manosphere for views, right? So she has about 575 subscribers. She just has that, right? So every single time somebody goes off their live, she makes a live to piggyback off these black men's she piggybacks off their subjects, just like what's that chick's name, Ren or whatever, Ren or whatever her name is. She goes and make an alternate topic so people can jump on her channel, just like a couple other people on here without the permission of the person who made the topic in the first place, right? So she goes and make this title about the gender war or whatever, and then she's quoting Obsidian's, because she thinks she can take his words, and she says some believe that the men are complaining too much about black women. And she said this appears to be a gender war on black YouTube and the black community. Pretty much that's where it came from, Obsidian's. So she goes on his page just to steal his content and topics. She's not original. And when she so-called is original, she doesn't get many views. But when she jumps off somebody else's panels, she gets more views than she has on her she gets more views overall. And we dealt with something like this before in the black YouTube with this chick, Lori Alexis. So Lori Alexis came out and she made 2 videos about MGTOW. She came out after a long behind hiatus, just like, you know, she was trying to pick it back off MGTOW, and she thought that having MGTOW talking points was going to get her more views. Overall, people wasn't buying it. I have more respect for MGTOW men, even if some of them are extreme and there's different levels to MGTOW men. So don't say all of them are the same, because it's some people who are fake. The real MGTOW guys, the expert, the ones, the veterans in MGTOW called her out on it. Soon as she made this video, they called her out. Everybody else called her out. So her initial video about men going their own way did 183,000 viewers. She had more watch time and more views than any of most of her videos ever in the last couple of months, once she started talking about MGTOW. So it worked. But in her comment section, everybody knew the jig was up. And they all came on here just to tell her off and tell her that how fake she was. The next minute, you know, after that, she got mad. She showed her true characters, just like Rainy Woman did. And she goes and says, MGTOW community made me do this. And guess what? She got 45,000 views. But her dislike ratio outbeat her like ratio. Then another guy, for some reason, did an interview with her, and it disappointed me in that manner when I had to back off from him, was Jada Black. He did an interview with her, and he had kid gloves on with her. And I can't believe he did an interview with her instead of somebody else who was really somebody else who's not noticed. But he seemed to think that he believed the Kool-Aid, just like Obsidian believed the Kool-Aid in her too. So after this, after all this MGTOW stuff died down, she left YouTube again because she wasn't getting the views that she wanted. Her last video was 2 months ago, and they can barely mimic the 45,000 that she got when she went in on MGTOW men. You see what I'm talking about with these women on here? They're coming into male spaces, and they're gaining views by doing the talking points of MGTOW men. They're in chats overall just to use men for money and views, just like kind of Reigning Woman, but she doing that at a low scale. And I'm gonna put the word out right now is that if you want to test her out, vet her, say stuff that she don't like, and go on Reg the Bad Guy's channel and test it out. And I bet you she'll block you too. See, she had a bone to pick with me ever since I called her out. And ever since then, she doesn't like me on Reg, and pretty much she calls Reg a donation and she calls Reg a supporter. I'll watch his videos and everything else, but I'm not gonna donate or support. I don't have to take that. Like, it ain't gonna be the thing for me to be sitting here supporting to a dude who believes this woman's some kind of Nawal or she's a unicorn, because she's not. A lot of people didn't learn from that whole Prophet of Thought situation that happened when he called these women unicorns and they turned on him. And he still didn't learn his lesson when Bomb Cherry turned on him. This woman, reigning woman, is an agent in disguise who eventually will turn on him when she get enough views. Just like a Cynthia G, just like Paris Milan, just like Nicole Michelle, because Nicole Michelle doesn't come on Obsidian's channel no more. She doesn't even come on there at all. Ask why. She doesn't come on there at all, because she doesn't need him for views anymore. She's not in the chat. She's gone. She got her views from Obsidian. You know, Kendra D is one of them too, where she make titles about female posers in the black manosphere, right? And she got 1,000K. And that's piggybacking off of somebody else talking about the women in the black manosphere and how they're faking it, like she is. Remember, if you go in the past about her, she turned on Angry Man and didn't support Angry Man like she should back then when the Prophet of Thought situation happened. She wasn't one of the ones who jumped up. And a lot of people seem to forget that with her. She turned on Prophet of Thought. She was one of his unicorns. She was one of the Angry Man so-called, day ones or whatever. And when he was on Twitch and failed on Twitch and he had to come back on YouTube. People seem to forget about her. And she has the same talking points as everybody else. I mean, on one of her videos, she said that this is a woman who says she's good and all this other crap. She says she has a list of men that she can call to have sex with her anytime she wants. Does that sound familiar? But this is a woman who's out here saying she's promoting certain things, right? She used the word incel all the time and assault certain men that's not saying anything about her. But y'all believe that she's some kind of what? Nawal? So overall, when you red pill, you start to understand that when these women say that they when you start to understand, when these women start to put a certain, when they put a certain narrative out there, then it's always, you have to always find out what they like behind the scenes. Like this video right here, like this comment right here on Brian Salon's video when he was talking about women faking the funk and everything and don't believe what they say and everything, just like I'm doing now. This guy says, my niece graduated from TSU 2 weeks ago, but 2 weeks ago before that she was admitted into a psych ward. Moral of the story: black bees are crazy, degree or not. I have a similar story about something like that happened to me. A chick said I needed help, right? And this is some chick that said when she said about my red pill knowledge and everything else, she called me an incel or whatever. This is like a few years ago. And she says that I resemble ER, and she said all this other stuff. So I got my I have my PI because I have a PI that I can call for certain things when I have the money, but he's expensive. So I called him and I said, do a background check on this chick. Let's see what she's all about. Because she really wanted me to still talk to her, because she tried to set herself of telling me off and saying, you need to change, you need help, you need to get some things. Well, Nona found out come to find out that this chick has all kinds of mental conditions that she never told me about. She doesn't go to psychologists. She had a few jail records of snapping on guys. She breaking dudes' properties. She went to jail a few times for crazy crap, right? The one thing that made me alarming is that she was on probation for attempted MR. She was attempted whatever. You can put it together. They had her on probation. And overall, she had a list of mental problems. So she said that I had mental problems. But once I started digging into her, she had all the mental problems. I didn't have a jail record. Still don't to this day. I don't have all these mental conditions and whatever. You know. But she had all this, but she had the nerve to say that I had mental conditions because of how I think. Kind of like what Raining Woman say. A 49-year-old woman who's close to 50 but on YouTube trying to pretend like this is her time and day. Don't you notice that red pill men, and I'm speaking to you, don't you notice that the very attractive black women are not in red pill spaces? They're not trying to tell men what they want to hear. They're not making YouTube channels and trying to gain sympathy from black men. You see that if they're not single moms, if they're not trying to get any information from black men or whatever, they're not on YouTube. They're living how that music video said, living their best lives. They don't need YouTube. Their wives, their girlfriends, and they don't need somebody to push them up, because every time they go out, they get that kind of validation. I'm trying to look out for a lot of guys out here, you know, trying to look out for people out here, man, because I'm tired of us getting taken advantage of by all these women and guys out here using sex to get their point across. You know, there's a character on Game of Thrones called Varys, right? He don't have sex, but he knows every information on everybody. Why am I telling you this? Is because when a guy is not attached to something or attached to certain things, he becomes 10 times smarter, and he becomes the guy that nobody can taint. If a guy can't have sex with a group of women or whatever, 9 times out of 10, I will believe him. I will believe his opinion of certain situations if he's not a fake red pill. But if he's a true red pill man, and he can tell you about certain things out here, then overall I trust him more than I trust these guys who can get women. Because overall, no woman can make Varys and seduce Varys. He has one agenda, and he cares about all the people. 37. Okay. He cares about people. And that's kind of when you step back from all this female validation and all this hierarchy bullshit, you start to become more clear. You got a clarity in your head where you like, I'm not a part of this, but I can actually help certain people to be more clear, to have more clarity at their mind. You know, kind of like a Varys. Varys helped the right people, and he helped all the right people, and he took down all the wrong people because he had no stake in any of the things. He was neutral on both sides, but he was always for the people who was down and below. Be as red pill like Varys is. Find out who this guy is and start becoming more like Varys. Because a lot of people think that all these incels it's a bad thing. But I think overall, not having sex with women in validation is a good thing. Because overall, they can't use sex to control you. And the men can't use sex to put you down. So you always going to have a neutral mindset on both sides and see who's lying and who's not. And you come up with systems and ways to help men see the error of their ways and support the right people and back the right people.